The following program is a production of WMFE, Orlando, Melbourne, Daytona Beach.
Coming up on The Arts Connection, we meet a musical powerhouse as he prepares to lead the Orlando Opera.
To get to directly collaborate with him is something I've been looking forward to and is really a thrill.
Also, we visit a place where history comes to life through performance.
We like to bring something unique and original here because we don't want anyone else to be able to go to any other church or any other place and be able to hear the music. You have to be able to come to the Holy Land and you can only see that here.
And it's time for the annual Brush with Greatness. We'll learn more about this annual festival.
People go to the masters expecting to see selective quality of a show that has artwork.
All that and more just ahead on The Arts Connection.
The Arts Connection is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by contributions to WMFE from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to The Arts Connection, your program about all things creative here in Central Florida. I'm Secily Wilson and we're joining you this week from the Holy Land Experience. It opened in 2001 and since then its beautiful gardens and stage shows have been visited by thousands each year. Its programs bring biblical history to life and you're going to be surprised at the level of professional talent performing here each day. We're going to learn more about that shortly. But first, the Orlando Opera Company kicks off its 51st season welcoming famed conductor Maestro Anton Coppola. He brings along 80 years of musical notes with him, and our own Kristen Kenney caught up with him during rehearsal.
When I conduct an opera, it becomes the most important opera that I know of.
And in this case, it's Il Trovatore, the Orlando Opera Company's 51st season opener.
Trovatore is one of Verdi's most important creations.
And for opera director Frank McLean, the thrill isn't just Il Trovatore, but that 91-year-old Maestro Anton Coppola will be conducting.
To get to directly collaborate with him is something I've been looking forward to and is really a thrill. Already we've had conversations about the work and it's like talking to a history book.
Coppola brings more than 80 years of experience to the podium, having conducted almost all the important operatic works of Puccini, Toscanini, and Verdi. Even the younger opera singers are Coppola fans. Just ask Orlando Opera resident artist Keith Rush.
There's not too many conductors, that you can actually name without ever meeting. Coppola is one of them that you can name.
But the Coppola name extends beyond the opera world.
Nicolas Cage, of course, is Coppola, And for the longest, when he began his career, he was Nicolas Coppola. And
of course, the godfather of film, Francis Ford Coppola, director of Dracula.
I conducted the score for Dracula. With opera, you have to conform to a certain period of time and be able to accomplish what you have to with the time given to you, that's allotted to you. Once you get budgetary. With film, it's we shoot just one scene and maybe take 2 days to do that, and then maybe throw that away and start all over again and do something else. It's very profligate.
Film and opera might be two different animals, but both require a rather copious schedule that never seems to slow the maestro down.
He's really amazing. Once we get into staging rehearsals, we have 3 session days. We're generally working from 10 to 1, 2 to 5, and 7 to 10. And he insists on being there for all of it.
And keeping up with this 91-year-old isn't all that easy, says resident artist Sarah Limper.
He gets up there for the chorus and he says, okay, we're gonna start on this page, go. It's hard for the pianist because he might not necessarily tell him what measure.
This is Sarah's second year working with Coppola, but her first time performing in Il Trovatore.
I was really excited that he was doing this again because again, it's another show that I am not that familiar with, and to work with someone like Coppola who knows everything about it and is going to tell you whether you want to know about it or not.
Last year, she shared the stage with him in the Orlando Opera's production of Turandot.
Turandot I did with him, and he knew every word and every instrumental interlude. He could sing it all, and he could yell at you ahead of time to tell you to come in.
Amazingly, his connection to Turandot dates back 81 years ago.
The piece was premiered in Italy in 1926, and he did the American premiere in 1927. He was in it. He was actually in it. He worked with the same people that worked with the Italian production. So when he speaks with the authority of knowing what Puccini wanted, you know, he never got the opportunity to actually meet Puccini because Puccini had died a couple years before Turandot premiered, but he worked with all the people that worked with Puccini.
And when it comes to Il Trovatore, Coppola speaks of authority of what composer Verdi would have wanted.
He seems to know everything there is to know about Verdi. Like even yesterday, just knowing that Coppola gets up there and told us that Verdi's biggest influence was Beethoven. And I had no idea that that was true.
Most of his knowledge can be attributed to his close connection with these influential composers. As a young conductor, Coppola worked with renowned composer Toscanini. Toscanini was friends with Verdi, which means Maestro is only 1 degree of separation from Verdi. Take it a step further, and everyone working on Il Trovatore is only 2 degrees of separation from the famous composer. Coppola bridges generations with his wealth of knowledge and experience.
You know, every chance that I get to soak things up from the conductor on him is just going to make it better. And you know, as far as the age difference, yeah, it's huge, but I think it works more in my favor, you know, because he really knows what they wanted back then.
If I have anything that I can contribute at all, it would be the fact that I go back so far that I'm able to furnish this younger generation with that connecting link. So that what it is that I experienced in the past, I'm able to pass on to these younger people.
He's bringing a lot more to the music itself. He's getting out there and telling us, this is a Beethoven moment. Go listen to this part of this.
I'm thankful that they have left us such a legacy, that they have left the world a legacy to enjoy.
As for the legacy of Maestro Anton Coppola, he continues to write his own, 1 score at a time.
The performances of Il Trovatore are November 14th, 16th, and 18th. You won't want to miss the story of love and hate set in 15th century Spain. And of course, it features the famed Anvil Chorus musical piece. So log on to our website for the links to the opera and get your tickets. Each year, the Festival of Orchestras brings some of the world's top orchestras to Orlando. And this year marks the festival's 25th anniversary. For a group of local 5th graders, the season opener's performance November 2nd was a night to remember. From St. Petersburg, Russia, to halfway around the world to sunny Orlando, Florida, the world-class Kirov Orchestra is gracing the stage at the Bob Carr Theater for the Festival of the Orchestras.
We're celebrating our 25th year of bringing world-class orchestra music, symphony orchestra music to Central Florida. Each year, we bring 5 world-touring orchestras from all corners of the globe. And not only do we invite our 5th grade students, but of course just people in general get to come and enjoy the finest symphony music in all of the world.
What's even more exciting is the musical journey opening for students like Ireland McGahey.
I've always wanted to hear a symphony because I've never heard one before, and I love to listen to music.
Now she's getting that chance thanks to the festival's educational program called Kids, Kids, Kids. Festival director Susan Carey.
These are students that are very special to us because these are children that have decided that it was something that they were interested in doing. They had to write an essay. They chose to write an essay about why they wanted to attend a world-class symphony orchestra performance.
Music is a language that everyone understands. I would definitely love the chance to be able to appreciate those people's passion and to pass on this experience.
1, because I had a musical family. 2 would be a good experience, and 3 because I play a musical instrument myself.
When I hear the music, it makes me have like an art visual in my head, and like I could paint a picture because I love art, and you know, it's just, to me, it's just calming and relaxing.
I like the music it plays and the rhythm. It gets my attention. It makes me feel like I want to dance and stuff.
Devontae was one of 50 fifth graders whose carefully crafted essay was selected and named a winner. Their prize, a chance to get up close and personal with the musicians during the festival's opening season performance.
I was very surprised because there was a whole bunch of people entering the contest, so it's like 1 in a million chances you win.
It's like I came home and I told my mom. She was shocked.
I was really excited that I would actually be able to see some world famous musicians.
And go backstage to ask the hard questions like,
is it really hard to play the instruments?
How long they've been playing and when they started to play.
Unfortunately, many of the musicians didn't speak English, but they welcomed the chance to give these kids something they could take home along with that musical experience, an autograph. The festival season is just getting started. There are 4 more concerts to look forward to in 2009. Now, of course, we all know that times are hard, but here's a deal that you cannot refuse. Now, we just talked about the opera and the Festival of Orchestras, and those are just 2 groups that are participating in something called Real Orlando Real Entertainment. That's ROAR for short. Now, this is a steal. For just $99, you get to sample 1 event from each of the following 7 organizations, and that includes the Orlando Ballet, Orlando Museum of Art, Orlando Opera, Orlando Philharmonic, Orlando Shakespeare Theater, Festival of Orchestras, and SunTrust Broadway across America in Orlando. Again, $99. What a deal. So check the links to our website for the information about Real Entertainment, Real Orlando. Well, again, we're here at the Holy Land Experience in Orlando. It opened in 2001, sharing biblical stories and history with its visitors. And from an arts perspective, it's easy to see that there's a lot of creativity that's gone into the experience, and there's a lot of entertainment that goes on here as well. Joining me now to talk about it is the production manager, George Livings. And George, I know that the Holy Land Experience brings the Bible to life through the displays and educational experience, but a lot of that is through theater. Talk to us more about that.
What we have done here is we've set up a repertory theater company here. We have about 25 to 35 actors here, and we do about, over the course of the year, about 20 to 25 different shows. So they need to know at least 3 roles within that. So they need about 75 different roles throughout the year. So we've had to call upon the professional world to come here because we need professional actors that really know their craft to come here because it's so aggressive. The rehearsal process is so aggressive. They really need to know what they're doing. The only stipulation we have is they have to love Jesus, but we need professional actors that come here.
Absolutely. You said 25 shows. You wrote many of those.
Are you calling me a drunkard? A drunkard would have more sense. I have more sense than you.
Gentlemen.
Have you ever stood up for yourself? I never liked you.
You two have such tempers. Remember how lovely and pleasant it is for brothers to dwell together.
He started it.
Enough. He who meddles in a quarrel not his own is like one who takes a dog by the ears. Now sit down and behave.
Malachi.
Oh, what is it now?
They're coming. I just saw them at the wedding party. They're coming up the road.
What?
They're coming.
You two, get up. Get dressed. No.
About 70% of those shows, me and my friend Jonathan Hickey have written together. We've been writing together for about 4 years. We like to bring something unique and original here because we don't want anyone else to be able to go to any other church or any other place and be able to hear the music. You have to be able to come to the Holy Land and you can only see that here. That's unique to us.
And what is also unique is the level of music and great voices that come through the gates here.
Yes. Like I said, we call upon the professional world. Everyone likes to make a joyful noise, but we have to make sure that people are paying $35 to come here, so we need to make sure they are of the highest quality. And remember, we're in the middle of Orlando. We're competing with Disney and Universal, and they are wonderful at what they do. But we also need to be excellent as well. So we call upon the professional theater world to come here and be excellent.
This certainly gives actors here in this area an opportunity to practice their skills and actually perform.
Absolutely. When people have come here, people usually come here and they say, do they stay for 6 months? But people usually stay here for 4, 5, 6 years. But people, when they leave here, they say they've learned more being here because our rotation of shows, and like I say, our rehearsal process is so aggressive that they have to do a 4-hour rehearsal. And the next 4-hour rehearsal, they better have known what they've done in the last rehearsal. So it's like a rep company. You're rehearsing at all times and have to know that show the next rehearsal you do. So they say they've learned so much when they leave, more so than anywhere else they've been.
And when we talk about the theater aspect of it all, I know that you perform The Passion here along with other theaters. So tell us what we actually would see.
We open between 10 and 6 on a normal day. We do the Passion twice a day. And that goes year round because we've had many people. We usually take it down at Christmas. But this year we're not going to take it down because a lot of people have come from South Africa and India, come here especially, and they say, where's the Passion gone? So we're going to do that year round. So at Christmas we do a different kind of season for Christmas and Easter. But year round we do about 7 shows a day, that's in rotation. And again, like I say, the actors know all that and they're in every one of those shows.
Awesome. Well, amazing talent here at the Holy Land Experience. Thank you for sharing it with us.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And again, if you want more information on experiencing the Holy Land Experience, simply log on to the links at our website. Well, up next, it's billed as a brush with greatness, and that couldn't be more true. It's an event that features more than 150 award-winning local and national artists, all brought together for one big event called the Festival of Masters. Where, you ask? Downtown Disney. Where else? They are the best of the best. The creme de la creme in the art world. Over 160 national and local artists creating magic in downtown Disney. Its name speaks for itself.
In order just to participate in the show, you have to have like major awards and shows before.
People go to the Masters expecting to see selective quality of a show that, has artwork.
Gabriel Puana and Vasilios Chentes are both award-winning masters at their craft. Puana, a sculptor of metal and glass, a contrast he calls metal nostalgia.
I began with architecture and suddenly I realized that perhaps the miniature work that I could do and represent was more my passion, my admiration for something beautiful.
His creative mind shapes and molds the elements. Puanas considers his body of work as chapters in a story that continues to build. This one takes place on the top of a misty mountain, far, far away.
It has to do with the end of the rainy season. The rainy season is represented by a beautiful woman that simply knows that the end is going to happen.
Chentes is a potter.
Yeah, that was my passion since I was a kid. I was actually watching my father working in the pottery wheel, and I was trying to learn how to do it myself. And it feels absolutely great to be able to do that and make living out of it.
His work is simple but elegant.
I want to show the work. I want to show the flow of the design, the texture. I don't want to just impress with a flashy red or bright blue glaze.
So what's the story behind this artwork?
I used to have a gallery in a Greek island in Paros Island, and I used to snorkel a lot, and at the bottom of the sea the sun created those patterns that I wanted somehow to incorporate in my artwork.
Two very diverse creations, uniquely crafted and different in every way. But one thing is common. Both share a place in the winner's circle.
The award is, of course, a great honor, but, you know, it's what I really love is people that they come in my booth and they say, you know what, we bought one of your pieces 3 years ago and we got about 100 compliments and we love it and it's our favorite piece of art in our house.
You are in such good company. No matter what you get, it's already a distinction.
And possibly a brush with greatness at this outdoor gallery. The festival runs from 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. this Friday through Sunday, so head on down to downtown Disney. Well, here's an exhibit that is timely for Veterans Day, which is next Tuesday, of course. It's a fascinating exhibit titled From Swords to Plowshares, Trench Art from World War II. You'll find it at the Alvin Polashek Museum and Sculpture Gardens, and it includes the sculptures of World War II soldiers and prisoners of war who sometimes spent hours creating art out of spent shells or other wartime artifacts. Now, along with the trench art, you'll find the exhibit Songs of the Patriot. That's through November 16th. Now, this exhibit is just one of the many exhibits planned for the Polashek for this upcoming season, which has been a part of Winter Park for 58 years. Kristen Kenney has more.
In the heart of Winter Park, art and nature paint a beautiful backdrop here at the Alvin Polashek Museum and Sculpture Gardens.
The Polashek is really one of the cultural cornerstones in Central Florida.
It's the former home and studio of renowned sculptor Alvin Polashek. Polashek was born in Czechoslovakia in 1879 and moved to this country in 1901, destined to leave a legacy in the sculptures he created.
He had such tremendous talent as far as his art is concerned, and sculpturing was his #1 thing, and I assume that he is probably one of the best sculptors that has ever come out of this country.
Polashek spent 48 years working in New York and Chicago, creating monumental sculptures that gained him notoriety. In 1950, at the age of 71, he carried his legacy with him to his retirement home and studio on Lake Osceola.
When Mr. Polashek came here in the late 40s and built this house, he soon realized that there were very, very few places in Central Florida for art and for history. And he got to thinking about that, and he wanted to give a contribution back.
So he did just that. He bought back some of his original pieces and even recreated others. And in 1961, he started the Alvin Polashek Foundation so he could share his life's work on his 3-acre Winter Park estate. Over 200 of his works are on display here in the gardens.
Mr. Polashek, he loved to share history, he loved to share stories, and he wanted to capture these moments. So when you walk up to each piece of sculpture here, each one does have a unique story, whether it be the victorious Christ on the back lawn, or Mama Mermaid, or the Wasserman.
This is a real interesting sculpture, and I like it very much. And the name of it is The King Under the Sea. And he's the character that, in talking to children, when they get too close to the water, you say to them, don't get too close, Wasserman will get you and he'll grab you by your ankles and pull you under.
If there's one person who loves to talk about the story behind each sculpture, it's landscape curator and horticulturalist Randy Knight, who volunteers 40 hours a week in the gardens.
It's a victorious Christ, but what we did there, we had a beautiful big jardiniere, a broken vase that was about 3.5, 4 feet tall. And it was broken, actually, and I hated to throw it away. So we put that in that setting to represent the broken body of Christ. The flowers are there to represent the blood of Christ. We try to keep red flowers there all the time. And so it just has somewhat symbolic.
Every sculpture shares a story, but it's the garden that helps frame each one and capture its beauty.
Just a sculpture out here with nothing to soften it and to accentuate certain things and to bring color to it. All of those things are real important, and to me, I think here that is accomplished.
You take a look at the leaves on many of the plants and things like that. You will never see them, as far as I'm concerned, anywhere else unless you go searching for them. But he's brought them all here for people to see.
When visitors come, they really have a chance to see not only art, but nature, and them cohabitating very nicely.
This is Polashek's best-known sculpture. It's called Man Carving His Own Destiny, and he actually created numerous versions of this sculpture, beginning first with one about this size. This is the last rendering, and what's really fascinating is he created it with one hand.
After he came here, he suffered a massive stroke in 1950, which paralyzed the left side of his body.
He worked for the next 15 years, creating a total of 18 new works of art, right up until his death in 1965.
He went from being born in 1879 to his last completed sculpture was Man Reaching for the Moon.
Upon his death, Polashek requested his studio, home, and gardens be open to the public as a museum. In 2004, Polashek was inducted into Florida's most prestigious cultural honor, the Florida Artist Hall of Fame. And forever, his legacy lives on, here on the banks of Lake Osceola.
Simply beautiful. Well, that wraps it for us here at the Holy Land Experience in Orlando. We certainly hope you have enjoyed our program. Please listen up for us on the radio. That's 90.7 FM for the Arts Connection Minute, weekdays at 9:59 a.m. And don't forget to check us out on the web. You'll find our podcast there, as well as information for the stories you've just seen. You'll also find the Arts Connection blog with lots of information about events and happenings in Central Florida. And you can also send us your ideas there, so please check us out. That's WMFE.org/arts. Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye. Don't forget to join us next week when the Arts Connection gets into the rhythm of music. We'll rock on with a local band making its mark in the world of music.
It was like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. Kind of like a freak out moment, for real.
Then we get into the groove with folk musicians who make their own events happen.
Those people who are not necessarily neighbors or wouldn't know each other, they gather together.
That and much more in the weeks ahead as we continue our all-new season of The Arts Connection.